you go like you didn't drive properly. It's like, I guess.
All right.
So weird.
Oh, the glare from the back is really bright. Okay, hello everyone. Good morning or good afternoon wherever you are. This is Alice.
Hello.
And this is Telmo.
Hi.
Telmo is staying with me until Thursday. He's helping me work on the manual. So today I asked Alice to come by because Telmo and I are working on whole arm movement. And I thought it would be good to have a quick lesson, just show you guys how I approach whole arm movement. So my approach to whole arm movement is slightly different to what the manuals on the American Spencerian and ornamental penmanship tradition use. So I'm just gonna rock the camera around. So Alice, let me give you this for a second. Or not, let me sit for a second. Okay, so the first thing to consider is your posture, obviously. So go to the YouTube channel. Your fingernail is just by the
No.
Go to the YouTube channel
I'm an expert.
and have a look at the posture video. And that video will be redone because I've added a little bit more information. Initially, I would suggest keeping both feet flat on the floor. That's to stop you from falling on your face because your chest is up and you're tilting from the hip. So the back is straight. But one of the things I've started to do is, in order to get closer to the desk, to make sure the whole arm is on the desk, make sure it's about an inch, 2.5 centimeters away from the edge of the desk. Because if you get to here, the shoulder does this. And you want all of this to rest on the desk. Notice, I'm not leaning on the arm, I'm just resting the arm on the desk. By keeping one leg vertical, so all of this is in the Copperplate manual as well. By keeping one leg vertical and one leg tilted, so what I do is I rest it against the leg of the chair. It's probably best to do this with trainers which are very soft so that they can bend. Do not do this with boots on. You try this exercise with boots on, it will hurt your instep. It'll hurt your instep on the back of your heel and the back of the calf. Or take your shoes off. So what that allows is for you to lean forward and look, the whole arm is now firmly on the desk. If you can walk, you can sit up. If you can walk, you don't need to lean on this arm. Let your transverse abdominals hold you up like you do when you're walking. Just rest the arm on the desk. Now, whole arm movement in most books will teach you that the arm needs to sit on the desk. Make sure the back of the chair is parallel with your back. Don't sit off at an angle like this, as Alice was caught doing earlier on today. And most books will tell us. So if we look at sort of books on Zanerian and Spencerian script, and even further back, you'll see that books tell you to keep the arm flat. So the muscular movement, you might want to come a little closer. So the muscular movement is about this muscle. Do you see how the arm is bouncing? So it's about how the arm rolls. So can you see how the skin is moving? Maybe I shouldn't put my brown arm on a brown desk.
You can say,
Okay.
no worries.
And you can see how the skin is moving. So the skin is pulling, so I'm going to push. You see how the skin is sort of pulling. God, it looks like an anaconda. Look, it looks like a snake moving across the desk. Anyway, you see the
Hopefully
skin.
no one is scared of snake.
You see how the skin is pulling, and you're basically just rolling on that muscle. This is where the problem starts. Okay, let's back up. Historically, when you used a straight holder, so I'm using Chris Yoke's holder. So Chris made this holder for me, which I love. So tuck the fingers underneath and hold the tool there. This is what the historical models teach us. Now the problem with that is we went from here to a fountain pen, which we held like this. So the back of the tool, which initially pointed towards literally, it points to the shoulder. Yeah? So it went from here, pointing to the shoulder, to there, to pointing away from the shoulder. And that's a really important consideration. So that meant that a pointed flexible nib, which was facing the direction of the script, this way, look at the 55. So the nib is facing the direction of the script, is now facing away from the direction of the script, almost at a perpendicular angle. So this is one of the biggest problems with using a pointed nib, which I'm not really going to look at here because I'm looking at how to produce whole arm movement. So we went from there to there, which means for a square edge script, this is actually quite helpful. But for a pointed pen script, it poses a little bit of problems. Now, because we went from there to there, so we've gone from there to there to there. So we've rotated literally a 90-degree turn, which is actually very similar to what happened with cuneiform around 1600 BC. I'm not going to get into that.
Why not? We did the whole day.
We need more than a day for
Yes.
that. So we were taught, we can see in books, to keep the arm on the muscle so it can bounce on that muscle. Notice I have to lean forward to make sure the arm is on the desk. If you lean back and the arm is raised, the shoulder will feel that the arm is not supported and it will do this. And you need the shoulder to generate the movement so that it's rolling on that muscle. Do not write with your fingers. Your fingers are busy holding the pen. If you give your fingers something else to do other than holding the pen, they will fail at one or both of the things and the letters will look terrible. The fingers are just there to add just a little bit of pressure. So it's really, everything is generated from the arm. So I've changed which leg is tilted so that I'm leaning forward a little bit more. You need to figure out which leg is will help you with this. Sometimes I swap depending on what the table is like, and sometimes one leg gets a little bit tired, so swapping them around is really helpful. So my method of whole arm movement does not utilize the whole muscle, but it utilizes part of the muscle. Because the hand has rocked over from here to there, notice the bones in the arm, the ulna and the radius are not vertical, they are at an angle. And so you are just on half of that muscle. And that still allows you to roll. So you're rolling on that muscle. And you hold the tool. Remember, hold the pencil like you're going to write with it, not like you're going to draw with it. So think of holding the pencil like a pen. And put a playing card just underneath. These I got from Sheridan. I love these. Just under here. Or you can do what Angie does. So Angie goes to Daiso, and at Daiso you have these massive playing cards. They're like They're like 3 times the size of this.
Of course, it's American. They had to have bigger playing cards as well.
And so you want to. So notice, I've not started writing. I'm just ghosting, but I can feel that my shoulder is tense. So something's not right. I'm going to stop before I start the writing. I know you have a pen in your hand and you just want to write. You have to make sure so everything is right before you start this exercise. Don't just start the exercise because somebody told you to do an elliptical drill exercise. You have to make sure what is not right. Is something not right in my head? Am I thinking about something else? Is my mind on something else? Are my thoughts somewhere else? Because you have to focus on this exercise. So I'm just going to breathe for a little bit. And as you exhale, feel the tension in the shoulder. Exhale out. And slowly, slowly, so I can feel that. So now I know what's not right. My hand was sticking on the table a little bit. So I'm just going to slip a sheet under here. So my arm is on the table. And make sure the playing card is in the right place. And make sure the page is in the right place. I don't want it too far or too near. I actually just want it, so this is my center. I just want it about 20 degrees off of me. I'm not going to look up under the lettering. I'm just bending my head a little bit to look off to the side. And I can feel that the shoulder is just starting to let the arm sit on the table. But I can also feel that the whole arm is not on the table. So I need to go back just a little bit and lean forward. I can support myself like this. Or you can rest your hand on the table just to hold the page in place. And I can feel the shoulder relaxing. And I like to hold my pencil a little higher up. So there are 2 rhythms when it comes to doing these elliptical exercises. You can either have maybe get a little closer just to hear the sound. Or you can have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So you're either going or you're going. The only problem with that is if you apply weight, a little bit of if you apply a little bit more weight there, you can sometimes overshoot or undershoot yourself. So personally I tend to go for a consistent rhythm. Notice I'm doing this very lightly. So that's how I do my whole arm movement. The next thing I'm going to do is a running exercise. Now the arm can do this from the shoulder. Can you see the shoulder? From the shoulder, the arm can do this. I'm leaning, supporting. The arm can do this. And because it can do this, it can do this. There's no tension. I'm not squeezing. I'm not frightened that I'm going to mess this up. It's an exercise. You have to learn how to make the exercise work. But this is not just an exercise. For those of you who have been pestering me, and thank you for pestering me, about the manual, this is the basis of why this manual exists. This exercise is a critical exercise that helps you to understand why the letters are the way they are. This is not just some little drill that you sit and you play with. You really have to work with it. So in doing the running exercise, obviously doing it slightly smaller, try and keep the accuracy, try and keep hitting that line. I can feel the tension creeping into my shoulder, so I'm telling myself to drop the shoulder. Just drop the shoulder, drop the shoulder. Drop the shoulder, drop the shoulder, and you can see that changing. Drop the shoulder, drop the shoulder. So even for me, I still tell myself to drop the shoulder, drop the shoulder. Drop the shoulder. Now you can obviously do this with a straight holder as well as an oblique holder. So I'm not going to put any ink in here, it's just to show you. So already I'm making sure that the nib is at the axis of the script. Notice I'm not moving my hand around. I've placed the tool in my hand. Once it's there, I start moving it. I'm moving it from the shoulder. The movement is coming from within the shoulder. It's not coming from the shoulder, it's coming from within the shoulder. I'm not doing this. I'm generating it from just on the scapula. So this, if you really want to think about where that movement comes from, it comes from the scapula. So let's do it with a straight holder. So I hold my pen like this to do Copperplate script. So notice I'm at the axis of the script. One of the other things that I do is sometimes I put the page so that it is the horizontal line on the page is perpendicular to the edge of the desk. Again, all of this is covered in the manual, which means you have to be conscious of where this page is so that your hand doesn't stick on the desk. So I am, there's my script. There you go. So if I'm doing a letter, which I can't do on this paper because it's too bad, but if you look at the nib, so if you go right in, Alice, a little bit more. So if you look at the nib, what you'll get is this. So if I did that with a pencil, what you would get is this. Don't turn it on its side. Don't turn it on its side. So let's take another tool. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do this again with a brush. I'll do another video on the brush hold, but not today. So again, I'm warming up with this exercise. let's put that there. I don't actually need a playing card because my hand slips across the surface quite easily. Notice every time I change direction, I stop. You also have to consider that the tool has to spread. So you want to go and slower and up and over and down, slower and up. And of course, if you're doing an even smaller exercise, so you want to go really close in, you would have so this is where you combine wrist movement and whole arm movement. So I'm relying on the bristles to help me, because I know what they can do, I know how much they can spread, and I sort of know how much spreading this paper will manage as well. And then I've gone out into whole arm movement and back into wrist. So I'm pivoting on this little bone just there, and I'm allowing the wrist to roll on that bone, and I'm preparing and whole arm movement and wrist movement. So my wrist is quite large, so I have a fairly large axis of an ellipse to play with. So you have to work that out. You have to know how big that movement is and what you can get away with. Don't forget, look at the state of the tip of the brush. Press, pull, twist, tilt, so that you bring the brush back to a point. Do not ever put your brushes away without pulling them back to a point. Make sure that you're not dealing with the glare of the studio behind you. Oh, there you go. So thank you very much. I hope that's helpful in some way. There are images in the manual. It's been really difficult to put this kind of thing into the manual because we've had to limit a page for one page for posture, one page for position, one page for placement, a page for left-handers and a page for right-handers. Each page has, I think the left-handers page has 8 images, sort of showing different ways to hold the tool. The brush is a few to 8. So it's really quite important to sort of be conscious of how the tool works and why it works the way it works, but also to be conscious of how you're sitting. What is going on in your head? Are you ready to write? Are you thinking about something else? You have to be conscious to concentrate on that thing that you are currently working on, because if you're not thinking about that thing, then your mind's straying. So when you look back at it, you've not really been concentrating on it. So if it doesn't look good, that's only your own fault because you're not concentrating on it. We've had to push back the release date because I wanted to add some new information, which I've come up with to help explain the angular and elliptical confinements a little bit better. As well, we had to retake a lot of the photographs, which I wanted to add different ways for different types of holds. So we're looking probably at a release date in March. So I'm handing in the final manuscript at the end of November. All right, thank you all very much for your time. I will post this video on YouTube and on my business Facebook page. So if you want to sort of keep looking at it and looking at how it works, then it'll be up there for you to sort of work with. If you are interested in getting a copy of the manual, please go to my website, paulantonioscribe.com, and fill in the contact sheet so that we'll keep you up to date when the pre-order will be ready. And obviously, once you fill in the contact sheet, you will get access to download the new guidelines, which are absolutely fantastic, and they're really, really good at helping you to understand why the letters are the way they are. So just remember, when you're using the guidelines, the minuscule guidelines should only be used for the minuscules, and the majuscule guidelines should only be used for the majuscules. Try and stay within the parallelograms as well, because that's what really helps you to keep the letters that are consistent with. Okay, hope you're well. Have a good day. Bye bye. Thank you very much.